Well, welcome back to episode number 5, I think we're up to now. So as you can see, not much has changed on the scooter since the last episode. So but today we're getting closer to getting ready to paint. But while we're standing down this end of the yard, I'll just show you a couple of things. So these are a couple of Commodore 20-inch Super Sport wheels that I sprayed just recently in base coat. I just need to clean them up and put a clear on them, and then I'll probably look to sell those off. I've got the other 2 already done in the shed as well. Still got those other 4 Commodore rims sitting around. I'm waiting till I get around to cleaning them, and then I'll advertise those. But as for the scooter, this morning I've just finished with some help of my wife, just finished sanding off all of these panels this morning. So last episode you saw we bogged up those, or puttied up those 2 little holes, so they've now been sanded down smooth. So we sanded that all down with the putty with a 80 grit, followed by a 120, followed by a 240, and then just roughed up in all of these little spots here, just so it gets the primer gets a good grip on it. These panels here, also the 2 panels that go under the seat, and we did that plastic repair there, and so that's just the putty over that. Same process for sanding that down. So those 2 are ready to go, and these 2 here as well. So ready to put some plastic primer on. So the process that we've gone through this morning, got one more panel up here, which is the headlight surround, handlebar surround as well. I didn't quite take this one back. I didn't take all the paint off of this one, took most of it off, because the others had some poor paint on it, whereas this was a factory finish, so not too bad. So process this morning that we'll run through is finish sanding them off. I've cleaned them up with, sorry about the compressor, hold on, just step away. The compressor will kick off in a second, but while that's running, we have just cleaned them up with a wax and grease remover. The next step now is to add a plastic primer or adhesion promoter to it, just so the paint sticks better to the plastics, and then we'll put down a 2K primer filler as the next step as well. So when that compressor stops, it will jump in there and I'll just show you the products that we're using. So this is the 1K plastic primer that we use. That doesn't require any hardener, any thinner, it just goes straight out of the package. Once we've got that on, then I've got this here, which is a 2K primer, which is mixed 4:1, and I can't remember whether it's 5 or 10% thinners potentially if you need it as well. And the spray gun that I'll use is this one here, just an Iwata, and so I think I've got a 1.3 tip on it at the moment when I do the primer. So I use that for the plastic primer, and then when I do the actual primer, I'll switch that out to the 1.8mm tip as well. And while we're here, I've got it, I don't have it, I was just going to show you this sanding sponge that I used for getting into all the nooks and crannies, but I must have put it somewhere else. So essentially though, it's just a sponge backing with 2 bits of sandpaper on, which makes it easier to get into all of these little grooves and stuff like that to sand them out. Anyway, I'll start getting the plastic primer on, and then once we've got that done, I'll jump back onto the camera and hopefully capture a bit of the filming of the primer going on. Alright, the plastic primer's on, and then that's been had a little bit of time to dry out now. Not fully dry, but will be in the next few minutes. Had a bit of trouble spraying it on because I had my gun settings wrong. I should have checked the gun before I started painting, but I hadn't tightened up the fluid tip properly from the last time I cleaned it. So didn't spray perfectly well, but for plastic primer it's pretty forgiving, and as we're adding a primer at the top won't really matter. So we've mixed up the 2K primer now, which was 4 parts of the paint, 1 part of the hardener, and about 10% of standard reducer or thinners. So These mixing cups make it really easy. So basically on the side here, you'll see it's got 4:1. So all that means is you do section A as your part 4, which is the primer or the paint. Part B then is the 1, which is the hardener. And then the next lines above are the thinners, which is 10, 20 and 30%. So I've actually ended up with probably 20% on this, just because I poured a little bit too much in there, but that'll be fine as well. So time to get stuck into putting the primer down.
You cannot feel this energy.
Alright, so just finished doing I think I did 2, maybe 3 coats, probably 3 coats of 2K primer. Had a few issues, which is no surprise because I'm painting when it's way too cold here. It's about probably 12 degrees and in the open air, so it hasn't. Definitely had some problems and probably over thinned the paint on the first couple of coats, but I'll run you through what I've got and where we've got to fix up a few bits. So this one here isn't too bad. It's got a couple of little spots that we'll be able to wet sand out and make look good. Same as this one. This one's probably not too bad, probably one of the better ones that came up. Still drying, that's why it's got a bit of gloss on it at the moment. This one here, we did get a run, as you can see just there. Hopefully there's enough build in the primer that I'll just be able to wet sand that out, and then if I need to I can probably just touch it up with some 1K primer. This one here, not too bad. It's got a little bit of a reaction just on the edge there, so once these dry I'll wet sand it and probably be able to get that smooth and it won't be a problem. The 2 worst ones, these ones here, this got a lot of reaction. I think it must have had some silicone left on it, possibly didn't clean it well enough to get all the silicone off of the panel, so got reactions pretty much most of the length of the panel and the worst bit there. So again, once it dries I'll be able to wet sand it, get it pretty smooth, and then I may just need to put 1 more coat on it and get it right. And this panel here as well, we had same issue. It's just too cold today and I shouldn't have really painted it, but I was just keen to try and get some progress happening on it. So you can see here where it's shrunk back into the filler, it's got some runs in it, so a bit more work once these dry. Wet sand them, see what I can sand smooth. Hopefully I'll be able to get most of it smooth and done without needing to reprime again, but if we do need to reprime, it'll literally be 1 quick coat on them, and then they'll be right to go. So that's probably it for now, guys. Time for me to do the fun part of all the cleanup and take these inside under the heater and try and get them to dry off a bit quicker as well. But see how we go next week, see what updates we can get done then. But again, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. Keen to get some comments on there about the colours still, so we're getting a lot closer to the colour now. So I reckon, depending on weather, I won't be painting when it's this cold, but as soon as the weather starts warming up, we'll start getting some colour on this stuff. Alright guys, thanks, take care, cheers.
You cannot feel this energy.